I think the competitors, the pro top players, are going to not enjoy this.
Hi, all, and welcome to another episode of the Win and In podcast. I am your host, Eric Darnheim. Gabe is not with us today. He's in the dungeon editing for sure. A lot of videos we got coming out, but I have my special guest, Hamish, here. You might know him from the Push the Point podcast. How are you doing today?
Bro, I'm good. I'm honored for you to bring me on to this awesome podcast. As a podcaster myself, I know that podcasts are they're a very fun thing to do. Also, a very tough medium to crack in the especially in the flesh and blood space. So the fact that you're doing it, I'm a huge fan, and thank you so much for bringing me on.
Yeah, well, you are actually a special fan here because, and maybe my listeners have picked up on this by now, but I am doing a week to week, having someone come on, and the way that I go about it is I'm starting out small. So we start out with the small creators and we work our way up. Right. And you are our first creator that has more subs than our channel. So you are the big one, the first big one.
I would definitely not consider myself as the big one. But I'm lucky that I suppose really in terms of the UK content creator space for Flesh and Blood, we've got 0 to 60 and we've got Go Again Gaming as. There's not many UK spaces for it. So we are very lucky, I feel that that's probably a big help on that as well. So
also you guys kind of have like different content too. So it kind of works out. You guys are all like kind of, filling in that niche for that area of the world.
Yeah. It was I mean, I don't want to take over this bit too much. I suppose really the whole thing kicked off with us is that when I started wanting to do content for Flesh and Blood, because I did content for other games in the past.
Okay.
And I did like YouTube stuff. I've done like gameplay stuff for like Fantasy Flight Conquest and Netrunner and all those sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And I found that podcast was this good like medium that I was able to sort of express myself, and the editing workload was an easier thing to try and process and manage. So I was like, dude, I love podcasting. It's just hit the audio, go, spend some time doing the audio stuff. And I don't have to worry too much about editing video stuff. And I did like a podcast for another game called Warhammer Champions. And I tried to make my own podcasting. So I knew that I wanted to do a podcast if I wanted to do a content medium for Flesh and Blood, it was like, okay, I just want to I'll do a podcast, and there was no way we were going to do any videos at the time, which is obviously just failed.
It's totally different now.
And then it just started off as me. I met up with Simon and Trip, doing another podcast for Flesh and Blood, which only did like 4 or 5 episodes, and I met them doing an interview with them because they did Skirmish season 1. And Simon's sort of tone, his voice, and the way he thinks, I was like, God, this dude's totally like different from me, but we also got on really well. And then I interviewed Trip, and he was like young energy, loads of enthusiasm, and he had this way of sort of talking that I was just like, God, these guys are like, it's like Ed, and Eddie, right? You can pick us out by just hearing us. You just know who's talking. And then we just gave it a go, and here we are.
It's one of my favorite Flesh and Blood podcasts for sure. In fact, usually, and I'm going to ask you to do this, but usually we have our guests do like an elevator pitch to like, give out like, to anyone. It'd be very weird if you're listening to this podcast, you never heard of Push the Point, but we're going to have you do your elevator pitch.
Cool.
But in this time, I'm gonna start it off, and you fill in anything I miss or correct me if anything I get wrong here.
Go for it.
All right. If you like podcasts and you like Flesh and Blood podcasts, and the M&R podcast, that ship has sailed. Bodie left. Michael's not doing it anymore with anyone. that ship is sailed. Arsenal
Sad
Pass.
times.
Arsenal Pass. You know, that's one of the big ones out there. Brendan Patrick doesn't play.
That's the GOAT.
It is the GOAT. It is definitely the GOAT.
It is the GOAT.
But Brendan Patrick, he's out. He's not playing anymore. They're still doing the podcast and all, so like that's still going on. You can still listen to them. They're obviously so good. But
yeah,
he's out. So if you want some podcasts where you feel like you're at your local armory, you know, chatting with friends and just being in a room full of friends talking flesh and blood, Push the Points to the podcast. And if you're like, yo, but I need a pro, this man has so many guest interviews that you'll get pros. Don't even worry about it. He has you covered. That's my sales pitch for you guys.
That's good, man. I appreciate that's so cool to hear. I mean, it's really interesting to sort of. I think everyone's just got different takes, haven't they? They got like they just got different vibes. But I really appreciate. I think you just nailed it. You know, we are basically three friends that love the game Flesh and Blood. We take our time to sort of just catch up with ourselves, and we're having a beer, and it's basically a little bit of the topic of the week, or the topic of, you know, what's been happening and what's going on, and sometimes just come up with some spicy takes, and we actually genuinely don't know like what we're going to talk about at the time it comes round, and the reactions to what. If Trip or Simon has like a completely different take to me on what they want on whatever the subject is, you know, you're hearing a first time argument, not like I think this is going to be a really cool thing, a contentious point between ourselves. We're like, I don't know, Simon, what are we talking about? And Simon will go, hey, you said some stupid stuff about Living Legends that I don't agree with, and it's like, oh wow, you're an idiot. I don't know. So
it's great personality.
It's raw. Yeah. It's just completely raw.
Yeah, I love it.
So no, but you sold it really well. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. No, yeah, that's how I feel with it. It's definitely Push the Point is the Flesh and Blood podcast that I listen to right now. Other than of course WINANDIN. But yeah, that's where I'm about. I've listened to a few like Chadcasts as well, just like some other ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, Push the Point's my favorite
as well.
Yeah,
Thunder was a good. That was a good one.
Yeah.
They've set sail as well.
Yeah, that's a
isn't it?
Up and coming one.
I know they were going to take it. They were really taking over the scene as well. Hey, I applaud everyone just doing podcasts. I don't think there's like ever enough. I think the glorious thing about doing podcasts in general is that I love watching the video content stuff. I love watching the deck tech. I love watching like Free Floating doing their game fight nights. It's like a big variety of stuff. But every now and then you just want to have a drive in the car, or have a walk, and you just want to put some headphones on. And sometimes you just want to listen to music, and sometimes you just want to hear people have a chat or an opinion or whatever about something genuinely quite interesting, and you just want to sort of be a way of looking, and you just want to like you're like listening to music,
right? Yeah, I use that as a distraction.
Don't think there's enough. Exactly. Or background music or whatever. It's just, I don't think there's ever like enough podcast related content that could be out there. You got Fresh and Buds as well.
Yeah, Fresh and Buds. That's another one.
They're really good.
Yeah.
Fresh and Buds. They're sick. Fresh and there's Flesh and Pod. You know, there's loads.
Yeah.
And I just think that everyone just wants to tune in to hear them. I think that's if you ever thought about why do I want to do a podcast in general, is because just think of it as me and these other guys are talking, and we don't have to try and sell some hot topic sort of stuff.
No,
just be you, and you can be surprised how many people are just interested in hearing you, and it's you don't think anyone cares, but there's people who genuinely just go, thank you for your time of talking. It's made my morning or afternoon enjoyable. And it is weird when they say that. And when I went to Barcelona, I had some people say that, or someone just come up and say, you know, that you were arguing with Simon about this stupid board game he was playing. I was like, oh yeah, God, why? It is weird when people actually come up and say stuff about you, but just do it. Just do it. And especially if you just enjoy talking.
Yeah.
That's the best bit.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it. If you enjoy hearing yourself.
I can chat on.
No, dude, I'm chilling. It's like I'm listening to the podcast right now.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, it's all just it's all freestyle.
Yeah. No, I definitely, whenever I listen to a podcast, it's definitely like when I'm working out. Just distract myself from everything else. Makes running easier.
Yeah.
But no, I think you're absolutely right. One thing I wanted to put out there, I did not mention this podcast, the Pitch Perfect podcast. I actually like them as well.
There's them. And apology again. I'm the same as well. Apologies. There is more.
Oh yeah, there. Like you said, there is a ton. But I'm with you. Like, I'm fine with even more if we even brought out more. Honestly, I think podcast is just one of those formats that allows you to feel like you're close to the source. The source being either you three or me and Gabe or whoever you're listening to. It feels more personal, and that to me that's what's appealing to me on it.
I agree, and I hope there is, and it's very difficult for LSS to quantify that.
Sure,
it's hard for them to throw out a major support for podcasts because it's very hard to quantify its reach in general.
I can see that.
When you look at YouTube and you look at someone on like 5k subs or 10k subs or even 1,000 subs like that, well, we're on just about 1,000 and coming close to 2.
You guys almost at 2.
You sort of look at it and go, well, you've got reach, and then you can look at a video that someone's done that's done like 6,000 to 7,000 views or whatever, and that's in the YouTube world, I know that's pretty small, but it's quantifiable, so it helps them sort of see the reach. But podcasts are very hard to quantify, so it's very difficult for them to know the reach. But I still think that there should maybe be a bit of faith that there's actually a silent majority of people that really just love this space, and there's probably quite a lot of people that would just never show up on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or wherever it is that people talk about.
That's me.
And express their love over something, and they probably do just enjoy this game playing on the tabletop, whatever, and they just listen to a podcast. There's quite a lot of people that might just tune in and just leave it as is.
I think
and I will never know they're an audience.
Like, you don't see those numbers all the time, like when it's just like Spotify for podcasts and whatnot. So because we have listeners that listen on Spotify, so we got a load. So it's like that's another thing that you just it's that silent majority type.
But it's only when you upload it to YouTube is the only number that sort of sees, that shows like, how's your podcast doing? And then we're like, I could do a deck tech video with someone, and I know that if it's a pretty decent one, then that's around like 1,000 views. So that's cool. That makes you feel like, oh yes, this is what we should be doing. Blah, 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 blah. And then you put the podcast out on YouTube and it's like, 100, 200 views, or if you're lucky to, but then you sort of forget, that's 200 people who want to just see a video of you talking, and that's whatever. But dude, the Spotify, the Apple podcast, the Google stuff, all that stuff, it's very hard to quantify the numbers. That's like to me, I sort of just go, well, no one's going to listen to the goddamn thing twice.
So it has to.
You should just add them post together. I don't know. Anyway,
no, this is great because we are so much in an echo chamber right now, but we're also preaching to the choir, and that's the listeners, because you guys are already listening and watching this, so you guys are with us.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here and listen to two dudes. Anyway, what is Flesh and Blood, man? What we saying?
Let's talk some Flesh and Blood. I'm all about it. Yeah. All right. So let's talk about some of the things that happened over the week. So let's start off with I'm going to start off with a personal deal here.
Okay.
I don't know if the news traveled all the way to the UK. It probably has. It was kind of a little low tier thing, but it made its way across the state. That is the coaxing. Did that ever travel out there?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So it does. I don't think it matters too much about the country because
yeah, it's just on Twitter.
Like
so, yeah.
it's just the community is kind of just one.
Yeah,
thing.
That's so true. Actually,
the armories that happen. I wouldn't know what goes on in an armory in I don't know Texas or California or whatever. You know what I mean? Just as much you probably won't know a little armory that happens over in Northampton. Like,
yeah.
That's your thing. But there's obviously some events that happen across the community. So I've heard of the coaxing.
Okay.
It is I don't know how. I'm not as crazy is invested in it because it is all the way. It's another thing that's happened all the way in America because you guys get all the fun stuff.
Well, no. It was basically like a super armory, and that was kind of its whole point. It was really trying to be as low profile, well, not low profile, but low competitiveness. It was supposed to be a very, very super casual thing, and a place that just flesh and blood players can have fun playing just all sorts of events. And I went to that because we're going to sell some shirts there, but they also had a Living Legends format there, and I never actually got to play the Living Legend format yet. So ended up playing in that, and which went to 5 rounds, cut to top 8, ended up going all the way to the finals. And you might think, I just set this up to be like super casual and whatnot. Except I had to face Easton Douglas, who top 4 at Worlds in the finals, and it was awesome. It was, he said it was one of the best matchups. I think I am coming close to agreeing with that. Starvo v Starvo.
Can I just say?
Yeah,
I knew. I was going to say you're playing Starvo. There's absolutely the Living Legend format is basically the Starvo format.
Yeah, it was half Starvos. It wasn't full on Starvos in top 8. It was half Starvos, half like there was 2 prisms and then a chain and a viscerae. But
okay.
This
seems like Everfest meta.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah,
it's the Everfest meta, really.
Really is
because that's when things were just dialed up to the craziest levels.
Yeah, that's when the real
Tales of Aria Everfest was just like if you were playing Flesh and Blood at that time, that was power.
Yeah.
Of the nth degree.
Yeah, I almost wonder. I mean, do you think we'd ever even get that power again?
No,
I don't think so. Right?
It was really weird because I suppose we had this chat, and I don't think it was on the recent episode. It must have been something before. But this whole year of the sets has been like a real sort of tone down of power.
I'd agree.
And we've just kind of went through this year of going, I think we're just doing clean, like we're setting up for later on. This stuff isn't going to be like last year where we will give you what did last year give us? It started off with Everfest. Yeah, it booted up with Everfest.
Yeah, it started with Everfest.
And then
got Uprising.
And that was just like a start of the year.
Yeah.
And then it was Uprising. Yeah. And then it just sort of went, all right, okay, and here's Dynasty.
Yep.
And then Dynasty was like the sort of beginning of here we go.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And then you're like, oh, okay, well, that's a bit underwhelming. And then they went, and here's Outsiders. And it's like, okay, that's like Outsiders is probably it was a very strong set. And then it was like, and Dust Till Dawn, it's just, it doesn't have that same sort of power level. No. And then Bright Lights, maybe Bright Lights, it's still something that's.
I think Bright Lights got
its head round later.
I think Lexi.
Yeah, Bright Lights did get.
Lexi staying like without any sort of bannings to her deck, which I think is I'm okay with that because like it did.
I was okay with that.
It accelerated her to she's no longer with us, right? Maybe if she had a ban, she'd still be with us. If you like that or not, it's up to you.
Yeah, but it's weird because they've always had this topic, haven't they? Of the Living Legend format is not a means to. It's not a banning system. It wasn't
right.
It's not designed to ban heroes. Like when it first was introduced, it was like it's a rotating format sort of framework, and everyone was like, oh, but the Living Legend format is there to sort of ban powerful heroes. And then when Starvo did do that, it was like a confirmation of no, the Living Legend format isn't meant to ban heroes. And I think secretly we're all like, I think, bro, it is. Like,
yeah.
Like it kind of really is, because you did sort of just turn around and went, we won't ban or suspend Lexi. We'll just let her run to the finish line. And it's just like, bro, it's the same.
Yeah,
it's the same
result
thing.
at the end.
It's the same result. You could nerf her to the ground and she'll stay here, and no one will play her.
Right.
Or she wins everything, and then no one will play her. So, whatever way you want to do it, just you should have just maybe what would happen if you just suspended Voltaire? Would she be utterly unplayable? Maybe, but we didn't. So now she's off to the end, and now no one can play her. So, and I don't mind. I that's what we all.
She had her time. She had a good time.
That's what we sign up for when we play this game, don't we?
Yeah. But so like going into that, I think she robbed Bright Lights of having immediate success. And so kind of like what you're saying, Uprising was the last set where we saw a hero come out with immediate success. Like with Phi.
Because it just turbocharged Lexi to the stratosphere. And I'd say that Azuri.
Yeah, Azuri has like a
Katsu.
Yeah, but Katsu, that doesn't count because he was already in the format. So
that's true, but he wasn't really.
It helped him out for sure.
It did, and Azalea. I know that Lexi took that spotlight and ran, but Azalea was legit.
Yeah, but none of those heroes are like S tier though.
I know, but we're in this what I think that's the thing everyone's in this spot about.
Okay.
Is that they've kind of just turned around and went, now that Alexi's gone, like all the Tales of our heroes are gone.
Yeah.
The most powerful heroes in Monarch are now gone.
Mm-hmm.
So all the crazy stuff from Everfest is has moved on. It's still kind of lingering around with Viscerai a little bit. With Revel in Runeblood and Gloomveil, right? But in general, a lot of this power stuff has gone. Icelander's now gone.
Yeah.
So Icelander was like the last bastion of holding on to the Tales of Aria cards. And now basically we've moved on. So now
that whole set is banned.
Yeah, it's literally just all in the bin.
Mm.
But for now.
Yeah.
So everyone is in this spot of like, because no one is obscenely powerful, and this maybe isn't a take that I don't think it's maybe like the correct take. But because no one's this obscene power, like no one's stupid S tier now.
Yeah.
No one will claim someone is an S tier.
Yeah. It's very hard to.
Yeah, I think we've just got basically at this point a load of heroes that have some pretty alright matchups and some pretty garbo matchups.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're actually left with, in the end, of maybe we're just going to move into that space of consistency again. And this is where I just feel like a lot of people are going to end up playing Bravo or playing someone that beats Bravo.
He's the one that makes sense to predict for sure.
Because he's going to deal with everything, isn't he? He's like...
he's so solid.
Is he the best?
Yeah.
No.
Right.
But he's got an answer.
Yeah. He's always been like right there, like A to B tier, and I don't see that stopping. In fact, he might even get propelled into S tier. It depends on what Heavy Hitters does. I really
that's true.
Yeah, I really hope a hero comes out. I kind of want the power back. I kind of miss the power. I kind of want Heavy Hitters to come in and make a statement and have like two heroes like hit like the S or A tier immediately, and it's like, okay, we're back in. But
maybe you never know, because at this point we're in a I don't know, is it right to say low-powered format? I mean, what is a low-powered format?
Yeah.
Like, the ceiling is as high as it is, and fair enough. The Legend format just shows what's in the attic, you know. But at the same time, something has to be strong.
Yeah,
something has to be. But I think maybe what we're missing is that we just don't have a hero that just kind of nullifies a massive swath of heroes from the board, you know.
Yeah.
Like Icelander was able to do, and so was Chain able to do. You know, you just sort of go, there is absolutely no way you can beat Chain as Dorinthia, Rhinar, Katsu. Like, you can just list off tons of people and just go, there's no way any of them can beat Chain.
Yeah.
So that's what makes this guy insane. Whereas now, like, you just go, okay, I want to play Dromai. Dromai's a strong hero.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Is it the S tier hero?
No,
Probably not.
So, yeah.
No, but a strong hero that will do you well, and you wouldn't be surprised to see it in the top 8.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even be surprised. Well, probably would be surprised to see it win, because it's a hero that just never seems to win at anything. But it's got a loyal fan base that struggles to win.
Oh, but, illusionist fans.
But there's heroes that you can go, you know what? You don't just swap. You don't actually just annihilate. Well, actually, that's probably why Dromai is actually pretty popular. Maybe I picked the wrong hero.
I think
that she can actually nullify quite a lot of heroes.
She can, but I think the like what we saw in the even at Worlds, you know, like with how many ninja decks were in the top 8, that's a tough matchup.
Yeah, I know. That's the only thing, isn't it? Like ninja is just this. Oh, we'll just smash off the face off, and we're not like someone like Fi or Katsu. It's not a dumb choice to pick. It's not. No. Like and I think that's the bit where we're in, where it's actually like, well, this is kind of exciting. And I think, who did I say this to? And I can't remember, but I basically, I know, I do remember. It's Greg, lovely guy called Greg. Shout out to Greg. He's an awesome dude. I was having a chat with him, and I was saying, I think we're in an age where the competitive scene is, and this is a take. This is a hot take.
Dude, I'm all about it. My ears are connected. Right now.
Hot take. I think the competitors, the pro top players, are going to not enjoy this competitive season coming up. And I think the audience is going to love it.
I'm starting, you know what? I was kind of connecting that when we were talking about it earlier. I was like, you know, I'm starting to see how, like, when it's a rock, paper, scissors format, you don't necessarily have a be all win all deck. But if it's a be all win all format, then it's at that point it's just skill versus skill. Who has the greatest skill? So I'm with you. I see what you're talking about here. I don't think you're
honestly. I think you're going to see 2024. You're going to have a lot of people who would travel all over the world and all this sort of stuff, and they'll go, yeah, you know, there's Lexi, right? Just take Lexi, be very good with Lexi, or take someone that's just very good against Lexi. You know what you're going into. You know what you have to tackle. Be creative, but you know the game. Beat the game, right? Now it's like, what's the game?
Yeah.
Ooh,
so,
what's the game?
Did you make a sacrifice to the RNG gods?
Yeah,
you get your
for an audience, it's brilliant.
Yeah,
we love it. We're like, oh my god, there's so many viable heroes that we can take to an armory and play at home and collect things. That's just great. I love the fact that I can get into someone and they're all right. They're all right, you know. And it's not like, I might lose to this guy, but we're all kind of good and all right.
Mm-hmm.
But when you go to a tournament, that's nightmare fuel.
Right, yeah.
You would just sit there and go, I wanted to play a jury, but man, I just waltzed into this and just got absolutely rolled.
There's so many Dromais out. I can't play zero.
So many. Yeah, do you know what I mean? So I think you're going to see 2024, unless there is, like you said, some
just right
out
off
of the door
gate
stuff.
Yeah.
That's my take. But also the competitive players will also find their there may be a time where they actually might find they're specialists.
Sure.
Now they might have to lean into more like very specialist.
Yeah.
Type
Hell
of
McCreef will do
plays
fine.
and thinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's still a little bit of the RNG gods of out there, but it's them sort of honing their craft in play styles because the best decks, and they'll come, but I think we're going to see a different, like a really mixed batch of different heroes. And I think ultimately in the end, this is why I said Bravo and maybe even OG Dash, you'll just see them in the top 8 quite more often.
I can see
because
that.
They've just got this really core, consistent game plan about them.
Yeah.
That just goes, we aren't really the best, but we're just a good enough deck and piloted well to just kind of tackle anything. But we will get spiked by a Bolton, for example, playing Raiden. That's just like, what the hell? This is not great. But we will probably get spiked by this dude. But Bolton kind of just falls off from that guy. So he's not the most consistent one, but we can get spiked by certain decks. So
yeah, I think that's
tournaments are going to be all over the shop.
I could see that. You know what's going to come out of that is what we're starting to see now. Because right now, I try not to get too much into the Twitter world, but boy, sometimes it just happens, and we are seeing a lot of Kano hate right now in Twitter.
That's because, do you know what? I honestly think that's why that happens.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It connects to what you're saying. It's like, because it's a more generalist field, that now we're going to see heroes like come and randomly do well, and you're going to have some of the probably top players complain like, oh yeah, but this hero's not even fun to play against. And then it's going to be a new hero next week, and then it's going to be, oh yeah, but this hero,
I think Kano and Bolton have this thing.
Okay.
That combo decks are kind of frustrating because, and they just are in their nature. They just are in their nature, because you just sort of go, no matter what I do, like, and Bolton Sabers it's not as agreed. Like, Kano is the combo king, right? That is his job. He will blow you up in a second. And is it tilting? Is it like, oh, what the hell? Was I ready? Wasn't ready? If you're not ready, I mean, you're dead. But at the same time, and it's the same thing with the Bolton Saber combo, is you're kind of put on a clock a little bit here, and you can go, I did some amazing back and forth like moves. I'm doing this. I'm on the thing. I'm like, you're really down low. And then they just go, hold up, boom. And then you just go, all that work. And then you just do your thing. And then that's it. And has there been a combo deck in every game ever that someone went, I'm so happy you did the combo. I'm so happy I played Mortal Kombat with you, chipping away all this time, and I got you right near the edge, and then you just did an 85% health combo on me and just won the game. Like, and I know you're going to do it every single time, and you're just waiting for your meter to charge up, and I've got to basically kill you in this time. And if I don't, you're just going to do 85 points of damage on me, and there's nothing I can do about it. Is that fun? But at the same time, there's plenty of, like, every person that's played Kano that's just done genuinely quite well, they will just turn around and go, dude, like, it's so easily just stoppable. Sure. Like, do you want to put the hate in? Because if you do, this stuff is not easy to do at all. And then we will then have to go back in a little cave and wait. And that's what Kano does. And then he'll go, surprise, motherfucker, you forgot about me. And then you just go, bah, 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 bah. And then go, okay, we'll go back in a hole again. And that's just Kano in a nutshell. That's just Bolton Sabers in a nutshell.
Yeah, when they take away ice, you're going to get combo. So
I have got one thing to ask you, though.
Okay,
I have got something to throw out there.
Let's go.
Is this a problem thing? I don't know. But Prism's new weapon.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so as an Oldham player, I hate that. I
But did you know you hated the auras, right? You weren't
yeah,
bothered
that's
about the
what it is.
heralds.
That's what I was gonna say.
But
Yeah,
it's not. But we're not dealing with auras.
it's not as egregious. I think though, honestly, I think Prism players are smart enough to be able to have a game plan into like Bravo or like Brutes to where like you play a different weapon and play those auras out still.
She actually bullies us. So the first thing I think that's very important that is going to be a massive weight off their chest is that they actually have a very, very good means to bully very squishy, well, aggro focused heroes like Fi and maybe Azalea and whatever.
Yeah, she has a 1 for 7.
I mean, the stuff she throws out is obscene, and the on hits of the new Prism is the craziest. It's like the on hits from old Prism was just like, okay, if it hits, it goes into soul.
Yeah.
If they go into the soul, you know, it just
that's
built
just
up
like
over
a
time.
Spectral shield later. Yeah.
Yeah. This stuff is like, if this on hit happens, I will choose. It's just like,
you're gonna get an angel out. She's gonna be out and ready. Yeah.
It's not. It's crazy. So, but it was very difficult to just sort of pull off with her original weapon that came out in Dustal Dawn.
Yes.
And it was like, oh man, this is like, I'm sort of bullying you, but sometimes you can get me back. And it's just so much work. But now it's just simply bro. Like, it's Herald, and it's like, oh, okay. It's just so much less hoop jumpy to bully aggro deck. So now I think she's just gonna show up and be like, bro, you guys can't just be running amok anymore. Like, I could show up.
Yeah, she's gonna be the control one.
And everyone's going, oh no, Kano, bro, you just show up with this prison deck and then just go, you win.
Yeah,
you win.
It's so hard.
It gives them wiggle room now to go, okay, so that's kind of like I suppose this is just my theory. I'm not really a massive Prism player, so
same.
I don't know what this may or may not mean, but I just, in theory, assume you just put this weapon in, you get a bunch of heralds, and you just throw some heralds at people, and you're just gonna give Fi and Katsu and maybe Azalea and whatever, you know, a pretty miserable time.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna have to see a lot of yellow pitches coming back around. I think Library could be a very big card, and she's not only gonna
Light
force
of Soul, bro.
Yeah, Light of Soul is insane. Yeah, man, yeah. So it's the thing is, like, she's not only gonna warp the meta if she, you know, has an immediate impact, which I think she would. I think it'd be very hard to say she wouldn't.
And then guess who else rears their head background if she starts to polarize this?
Oh, I know. Yeah,
really well.
Yeah.
Who's going to show up now?
Or no, Vinny. She never got her time.
Yeah.
She never got time. This would be
completely just destroys the Prism.
Yeah.
There's just no way. All these angels, I don't give a shit.
Right. I was thinking Van Brace. Was it that Outsiders legendary hand piece? That was like really was just for Olin back in the day. I like looked at it randomly this morning. I was like, oh, this might actually make a comeback. You know, as like a way to counter Prism.
So, maybe. I mean, it's but there's loads of stuff out there, and I think right now I think there's going to just be maybe this year is maybe, or sorry, not this year. The 2024 sort of Road to Nationals Pro Quests and the Pro Tours is going to fully probably be the time to lock in a dude you like to play. Unfortunately, that's not Viscerai. but maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Who knows? But I think there's a time where you can actually just sort of go, you know what? There's not just this anymore.
Yeah,
you know, and maybe there's a world even bloody Teklevosin sort of.
I mean, yeah. Who knows? Honestly,
we don't need a lot of You don't need too much.
I think if Prism puts Kano back in, then AB1 is probably all you need.
Maybe, I don't know. Who knows? But that's what makes it exciting. for viewers. But there you go. I'm curious now that I think Prism's weapon could be the best card in a non-illusionist set again.
The
illusionists steal the show again.
Well, it wasn't just that either. We got let me pull up that other card here, because we got her weapon, which was definitely very huge, but then we got this awesome illusionist card called Dissolve Reality.
It's like it feels kind of I mean, it doesn't feel kind of Codex, because it's absolutely nothing of that power level whatsoever.
Yeah, but I kind of understand what you're saying, though, because it feels like it's supposed to be both people get to benefit, but if you're playing it right and you're anticipating it being played, you can benefit a lot more than your opponent.
Yeah, you just turn around and go, I'll put this in Arsenal. And then when, I know it's a little bit of a wait until they have Arsenal, but let's be honest. Someone's going to put a card in Arsenal.
Yeah.
They're going to put a card in Arsenal. They just do. And then you play that, and it's like, so we both get a Ponder card, but I'm actually just going to benefit from this card a bit better, and I'm just going to take your card away, because I don't lose a card, because I've played this from Arsenal. You lose a card.
Which that was probably your D-React. And then I'm going to play Herald of Erudition, and I'm going to hit now.
And hey, did you just put that down and dirty in your Arsenal?
Yeah, that's a good point. I forgot about that. Yeah, that's really good.
Let's get that out of the way. And then prison. Let's go.
Yep. Oh man. Yeah.
And you've also got the card that lets you look at their hand, and is that also lets you look at their hand and put a card, and then you get a Ponder.
Yeah.
And then you go, right, get rid of that Arsenal, get another Ponder. Who cares? Your Ponders are just, it's not that crazy at the end, because you're just gonna draw your hand up anyway.
Right, yeah. That didn't really, that wasn't like, oh, it's okay. No, it's like, oh no, this still sucks.
The net worth of someone giving you a Ponder to you getting a Ponder so you can control your turn. It's a really interesting thing. But yeah, that's a very cool card. It's spoiled by Gorgonian Tome.
Yeah. Also, Yellow Pitch. They knew what they were doing. They're like, yeah, you're gonna play this card. Well. Yeah. Prism is back. I think she is definitely back.
Turns out you just and it'll be the same with Viscerai as well. It turns out you just give someone a decent weapon,
right? Yeah,
they're off.
That's how big a weapon is.
If Viscerai had, it doesn't need like something on the level of Rosetta Thorn, but like something like, I love Nebula Blade, but the cost of if Nebula Blade was just, I don't know, maybe if it costs one, if it just costs one, Jizo, like you'd already be like, oh my god, maybe it'll be two. It's obviously going to be too broken. 1 for 1 with an on hit. It's basically a 1 for 2.
Yeah,
that's pretty dumb.
I mean,
but like, do you know what I mean?
Blade's a 1 for 3.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
It kind of has an on hit.
Yeah, that is. I know. When you talk about the comparisons of it, I remember doing this with this amazing lad called Tom Penny. He's actually one of the developers of LSS, but he was a player at the time I got to chat with him for a long time. And I used to just sit there, and Dorinthia, back when it was just Crucible of War, was the thing.
She was the one.
And Viscerai was very much not a thing. And then he, way worse than he is now.
Yeah.
I usually just sit there and go, dude, remember your Blade, man. It just doesn't make any sense. Why does this cost 2? And he's like, well, it costs 2 because I'm like, it's garbage. Look at your Dawnblade. It just doesn't make any sense. But honestly, you give Viscerai a good weapon.
Sure.
He back.
Yeah.
He back.
I think that's fair to say. I mean, that's like the Prism has definitely proven that.
Yeah, you just give him one weapon, and all of a sudden, everything. And all it needed was to go. You just needed to have Yellow Pitch. Yellow Pitch. Give Herald go again. and Angel. That was like, wow.
Yeah, the Angel part is like, don't worry, we'll get you playing those Angels. We got you.
Yeah, that's it. Like the Angel bit, I was like, bro, that's
so
this is a like it feels like it goes against their you know when they were talking about they call it sip, right? The stay in play, start in play, stay in play thing, that the rule. Oh, so they had this thing that was called the sip. It's not my bloody thing. It was their stupid word.
Okay.
Start in play, stay in play. So their biggest thing that they really disliked in, well, maybe not dislike, but they understood the power curve of their game a lot, was when Chain has go again on tap. Briar, play 2 cards, get go again. Luminaris, right. If you pitch the yellow, get go again. Yeah. And Voltaire. Instant, put this in, get go again, right? That's what broke a lot of the stuff, because there's no steps or hoops you have to jump through. Just deck build around these things that will just push it to the next level.
Yeah.
And that Chain going, Briar going, Luminaris and Voltaire going, a lot of that stuff was like why these heroes were just dumb. Because you literally just, if you print go again on someone, give this go again.
Yeah.
It's broke. And that's why they were. And Starvo. You know.
Yeah. Big time.
You know, done.
Yeah.
So they broke their thing with this weapon.
Yeah, that is true. They're bringing that back.
It's back. Like,
yeah.
It is toned down, but you know,
I don't think it's toned down from how we used to look at Prism. I think if Prism is doing like the Angel things and like where every herald's an on hit, it might even feel toned up.
Maybe, but I guess their last weapon did have go again printed on it, and the cost was 2. This time, it's nothing like the old Luminaris, but maybe we've got to see. But it does feel kind of like, I wouldn't be surprised to see this card in Everfest, right? Like, it's got that flavor of power.
For sure. Absolutely, I see that.
And you're like, ooh, that's a lot of power behind this. Any Angel has go again. Any Herald has go again, and then you've got the boots to get an action point if they choose to pop it. You know, that's a lot of that's a lot of power, bro.
That's a lot of power,
and that's very much not what we've seen this year. Like a card that, apart from Codex and maybe Warmongers, right?
Yeah, but I'm just thinking Storm of Sandakai for Dromai. That was another
one. Storm of Sandakai. Oh, is that which one's? Oh, what was that again?
That's
that's a weapon.
Yeah.
Which I just don't even think she has a weapon, because I just
assume... It's because that's the only one you ever see. It's almost
just
like
not
it's just
put it on the board.
Yeah.
Just put it not on the board, and someone would just not put it on the board, and I don't even think I'd notice. And you just see them do all their stuff, and you'll be like, I just assume this is what it just did. Your hero. This could just be your hero text at this point.
I kind of think I'm seeing what you're saying with the go again, and I think there's a lot of legitimacy to that. I have been noticing it with Dominate. I kind of think Bravo and Azalea might be the only heroes we have that will have Dominate on their ability.
Yeah, I think so. Dominate is it definitely just lends itself more to a Guardian-esque sort of class thing.
Go tall, yeah.
Yeah, and that's strictly obviously not true, because even Viserai has 2 Dominate cards.
Yeah, Viserai has quite a bit actually.
But you don't see it. But the really Dominate does exist in other classes for sure. Mm-hmm. But because Bravo shows off that sort of that things a lot better, then that's obviously you feel like it's his thing.
It just
But
feels
like
like
you said, Azalea does also hold that
she
sort of mantra
has
up
that
as
in her
well.
ability. Yeah. I just feel like with Overpower coming out, that's kind of their answer to it.
Maybe, but it's funny that Overpower, the person that shows off Overpowers is Teklabosson.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he turns around and actually goes, once I've hit Necropotent, my big war machine, slammy robot stuff, that just goes, oh, dude, Overpowers, annoying.
Yeah.
Like, and that makes you feel that you could probably put the text up, like the power level of the text a little bit better, because like the Overpower isn't as limiting as Dominate.
Yeah.
Because as long as you could just throw 2 defense reactions at an Overpower from your hand, that's fine.
Yeah, and then
but you can't do that with Dominate. Dominate is like you've got to have very specific sort of things.
Mm-hmm.
So, which does then boggle the mind why they made Oaknold. but and Red in the Ledge or whatever, just if it touches you for one, the whole thing, your world blows up. Whereas and that with Overpower, it feels a little bit more like, you know what, the power level you put behind Overpower just seems a little bit more fine, because I actually have a lot more agency to stop an Overpower attack.
Right. Yeah.
So I know it's limiting in one way or another, but I think we're going to see more. I wouldn't be surprised to see some more Overpower in heavy hitters.
I think we're going to get more Overpowers, and I wouldn't even be surprised if we don't even see the word Dominate, to be honest.
No, I wouldn't be surprised to see that. But hey, Warriors are now playing the Illusionist game.
Yeah. What do you mean by
because with Kasai now has allies.
Right.
We are now having board presence on Warriors now. Is this a big thing? Probably not, but it's an interesting way of now. I think Warriors are starting to have this really multi sort of, like, they've got to be quite a very broad space of how that class is going. From Dorinthia being very, they're all weapon focused. Well, actually, you say that, and then Bolton isn't. But
but Bolton combo, and I think Lumina Ascension, even if it was with Raiden, it's pretty weapon focused.
Yeah, it's true. It's definitely a weapon thing in there. But like Dorinthia's, like, with the Dawnblade, and then you've got and then you've got the axe, right? I mean,
the axe is here.
The axe is a very good, strong weapon to take down, very grindy matchups. And then you've got Bolton with attack action cards. And now, bro, we got another warrior that's putting allies on the board, and now that's health.
Yeah.
That's you basically just go. If I attack with this, and then dealing with allies is very difficult. And I think maybe I don't know where you were going to go with this, but I'm definitely on a massive tangent with heavy.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay, because honestly, like I said, this is kind of like mine and the audience's personal podcast, because I was like, all right, cool. These are the things I would have talked to you about anyway, so this is perfect. Cool. Okay, I got something for you, because this is whenever I saw Kasai having the warrior tokens, I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Now we have another class that will have a board state. And I remember when first getting into this game, I was like, oh, this game doesn't really have board states. You have your armor and your weapon, your hero, and that's usually all there is to it. But now we have the Illusionist class, which was like famously like the first one that really had like a board state, whether it be
I'll challenge you on that one.
I know what you're going to say. Go for it.
Dash.
Yeah, it was Dash. Yeah. I thought, yep. So I realized that, Dash with her items, that's a board state. Yeah. And now we have warriors that have a board state. And so it doesn't feel so much class specific anymore as far as you having a board state or not. So I'm almost wondering if, like, does it stop with warrior? Will one day?
And I think it's more down to, and I think this is something that LSS is probably going to hit home more than anything, is it's not I don't think we need to look at it as a class thing. I think
Yeah.
you just got to look at it as, does this just totally make sense with the hero?
Mhm.
Like, they are warrior,
Yeah.
but don't try and it's got like a rule set to sort of play by, right? Where
Right. Yes, she
we
has an army.
kind of live in this little boat.
Okay.
But
okay.
like, for example, Reiner and Levia,
Yeah.
they are brutes. You know the rules of what a brute might genuinely work out in, and it's a little bit of a, I come in for a 6 power attack and it has a bit of an additional extra cost to it. But the rules of what Reinhard does and what Levia does are completely different. Like,
True.
you know,
Yeah.
Levia does not play totally the same game as Reinhard. And Bolton and Dorinthia, they don't play the same game. So Kasai will go, dude, what are you going to present? Well, you're a warrior. So you got to have some weapon-related fun.
Yeah, yeah.
But
you got to be different.
That, what's Kasai? And Kasai's is going to be very much, I muck about with gold, and you could bring on some sellsword allies, because that is the theme of what my hero is all about. So if you turn around and went, oh, the brutes get allies now. Yeah, probably you're going to see some 3-for-6s with random stuff, but this dude will bring on little goblins.
Sure. I see. Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
Does it make total sense to the hero?
Right.
And the answer is, yeah, they follow the rule of the warrior, but this is what she will do.
Yeah. But I will say, came out of left field for me. Did not see that coming. Yeah, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, they were doing that with Rune Blades. Like, you looked at Viscerai, and then you looked at Chain.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not the same thing.
No.
You know, they were not the same thing at all. And they were just, and Briar, you know, Briar, Chain, and Viscerai as Rune Blades, and even Vincent.
I mean, Vincent, I feel like the most different out of all the Rune Blades.
I mean, I think they really all are. Like, you know, I think Vincent is probably the closest thing to Viscerai, I feel, because she actually comes in with a genuine amount of split damage.
Yeah.
You know, and
her ability is just related to the rune chant, just like Viscerai.
Yeah, exactly. You know, whereas Chain was, I mean, you're going to get 1 or 2 pings from a Seeds of Agony, right? You know, but mostly it was just this completely ridiculously long thing. But that's because that's Chain. That's what Chain did. And the split damage for basically the Rune Blades world is, you think it's the split damage, but what it really is that half your deck has to be non-attack actions and half your deck has to be attack actions. And the non-attack actions have to have some obscene power level behind it with low blocking value, because everyone else is going to put loads of attacks in their deck. So how do you put loads of cards that don't attack at all to deal the same amount of damage as like someone like Reiner that just has 60 cards and they all hit for 6, right?
Right.
And so they had to have some power behind it, because that's got to either push this attack to a dumb level or it's got to split damage. The trick of Rune Blades is you've got to weave the non-attacks with the attack action cards. But how Viscerai does it, and how Chain does it, and how Briar does it, and how Vincent does it, bro, it just only makes sense to them as heroes. But that's the rule of a Rune Blade. So I think we were already seeing this in the scope throughout this whole thing anyway.
Yeah.
Just even Prism and Dromide, Christ, look at them. They're just they're illusionists. They have their rules. They make stuff on the board, but God, they're not the same hero.
Thank you so much for joining me for an hour on this. This has been a treat. This has been fun. And thank you all for listening as well. You got any plans for the end of the year or going into the next year?
Christmas time. spending time with family, and then we've got the Pro Quest and Road to National season, and this time around I'm going to sort of get locked into really try and get. So I want to try and get a result for the Pro Quest season because it's going to happen in Amsterdam. And I want to go to that because I can make that pretty easily. And the Road to Nationals, I'm going to try and do some really well on that because I really want to try and get to Nationals. And then get ready to see what the calling Liverpool, because we've got the heavy hitters sealed, which is another topic. We've got that coming up as well. So I've got to get my head around sealed for heavy hitters. So,
well, you know what? We're going to put out videos for you. So
I'm looking forward to it. I will check them out, and so should you, audience.
Yeah. Well, and on that note, check out Push the Point. It feels weird at this point because, like I said, you're our first guest that have more subs than us, but we're still going to push you guys as well. Push the Point podcast, as well as there's tons of deck techs and even some videos in between. You guys just had a vlog. I love the little vlogs. I think there should be more vlogs.
Brill. Thank you. And honestly, you should just check, if you haven't, check out Sean's work. He did a video about the skirmish season, and I think it's one of the best videos we've ever done because it actually genuinely captures a real life scene of Flesh and Blood, and you just seen some normal dudes playing some games. And if you've ever wanted to have a go at it, check it out. That's one of my favorite videos that I think we've done, and I had nothing to do with it, so that's probably why I love it.
All right, well, cool. Thanks again for coming on. Thank you all for listening. Until next time, keep on fabbing.